here I am. Boy, I'm looking for my hey grits and guts. How you doing? Oversleeping? I was thinking about that today. I'm thinking real seriously about oversleeping today, but I got up. I'm looking for what I'm doing today, and I'm having a heck of a time finding it. Page 0809. Come on. Always like this at the beginning. It's like I keep looking for these stupid. Okay, about everything, about nothing. Should be. Let me see. Previous. Previous 8 days. Okay. Blueboy Brown. Come on, Blueboy Brown. Be nice to me. Look here. Okay. So, yeah, I can put this up. No results. Oh, come on. But page 8, page 9. Okay. I'll be just ready for color. Okay, ready for color. And give me the most recent thing I did, which should be. There it is. Dummy. Okay. Let's bring it over here. What I go through. Okay. What's the? Okay. Let me figure out where this thing actually is. Okay, it's in Frumpy ready for color. Okay, Frumpy ready for color. I have a external hard drive I call Frumpy. I don't know why I did that, but I gotta come up with these stupid ideas. Ready for color. Okay, ready for color. There it is. Open that up. Okay. Okay, let me open up what I did this week. This is what you've been missing. No, I want to open up. Come on, preview, be nice. I want to open up a desktop image. It's just what I did this week as a gang shot that I showed to my Patreon dudes. Okay, let me see. I'll share this. This is what I did this week. So you can go take a look at it. Tomorrow morning, this is what it looks like. This is what I did this week. All right, a crowd of zombies. Sure, they're not just the House of Representatives. Hey, should do a comic book about Congress as a house of zombies. Okay, so I this thing on the extreme left, I had a completed a lot of the coloring I redid yesterday afternoon because I had done this thing over here, over on the extreme right, was a complete redrawing of the page 61. I looked at it, I said, this stinks. And so I redrew it. I just was sitting around watching television and just kept on drawing and drawing and drawing. Okay, I got that. I got that frame. Okay, I got that frame. I got that frame. I got that frame. It's done. And that's how I did that. And then well, on one of the live broadcasts, I uh, actually composited this. I took scans of them and I resized them and everything, and I redrew the borders and all that stuff. And then I started coloring it. And one of the things I'm doing with Photoshop is that it has so many dadgum brushes. It's hard to keep track of which brush you're using. So I'll come upon a brush that I maybe never used before, and then it'll give me the most cool marks, like up here in the clouds. I started doing these new clouds, and I've been also thinking about the way Cezanne did his brush strokes. This kind of squiggly thing, just squiggly thing on top of squiggly thing. And so I started doing that, and I came up with a new way to do clouds, which I kind of like a lot better. And they look a lot like old early Cezanne clouds or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, and then my color kind of changed. I had this beige tone over the entire page. And then when I put in the sky color of blue, it gave me this kind of really pleasing muted green. And I liked it a great deal. And why can't the sky be green? I don't know what was going on in 1914. Hey, since the Phobes, we can have green skies. Okay, so then I had to redo everything. And I'm going to be probably redoing a lot of pages simply because I like this color scheme a lot. It looks cool. So, but today I'm going to be doing this. Yeah, there's more life in your zombies than there is the House of Representatives, that's for sure. Hey, here's the crazy part. You get elected to the House of Representatives no matter how long you're in there. If you're only there one term, if you're only in there half a term, you get $174,000 a year pension for the rest of your life. Just look at the way I watch some of these videos and how I'm doing color. One of the things that I stress when I'm doing color is that when you're looking at a color, let's say you're looking at this color, then you come up here and you analyze it, and you'll notice that black creeps into, what am I doing? Am I there? What's going on? Let me see. Let me stop sharing that, and then I'll share again. Oh, let me just do the screen. Yeah, you lose everything when you don't share the entire screen. So I did my eyedropper tool there, and I bring it up here. And over here, always seek to get rid of that K. If there's any number in K down here, get rid of it, because that's black, and black muddies up color. So you want to, it'll always kind of creep into it, but you don't want to originally do it. So here I have it over here. I gotta, where's my, somewhere over here. Oh, here's my layers. It's over on another screen. Yeah. So, so what I did is I took this, this page, or from early in the book, page 8 and 9, which is the Battle of Gettysburg, and I'm going to recolor it today. I worked a little bit on it a few days ago. Then I that was when I was kind of figuring out what the heck I was going to do with page 61, and then I redid page 61. Hold on a second, I got to turn the fan on. It's hot in here. There. Okay. Yeah. Is it 40 seconds? I thought it was like 10 seconds or something like that. Yeah. YouTube. If you were going to do something horrible on YouTube, who's watching? Who's watching to make sure you don't do something stupid on YouTube? There's a lot of stupid stuff going on YouTube. I saw somebody sent me a video of the British Prime Minister giving an update on the coronavirus, and these people had just taken this real small snip that made it look like, oh, there's no reason for you to have a lockdown. There's no reason for to be any restrictions and everything. Just go about your life and everything. You look at the entire thing, and on either side of this snip of video, they're saying we still must be very, very cautious. Heck, Boris Johnson just got out of the hospital. I think he'd be a little more circumspect than these people are. Anyway, there's a lot of nutty people out there right now who want all restrictions off, but I think there's probably too many restrictions right now. But there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just go on with our lives. I'm in the high risk group. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in a high risk group. I'm a diabetic, and all the warnings go to guys like me, and because it really messes with your kidneys. It ruins your kidneys. I am not getting my kidneys ruined at this late date. I've been through too much. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to give this guy some color to his boots because he's not wearing sneakers. These are Air Jordans. I mentioned, a couple of days ago when I was doing this, I mentioned the Battle of Gettysburg was started because the Confederates found out there was a supply of shoes in Gettysburg. And so they went in there to capture the shoes because the Confederates were walking around in their bare feet or with, their feet wrapped up in rags or something like that. And tell you, that's what the whole thing was about. That's why they actually chose Gettysburg. They wanted to go into the North, but Robert E. Lee wasn't that good a general. He didn't press for his advantage. He could have won that thing, and it would have had a completely different, much worse country than we have now. Okay, give this guy some shoes. I got to give this other guy some shoes too. Okay, and I'm going to give this guy some shoes. Fighting over shoes, might as well give them some color to their shoes. So my color scheme is sort of like changing a little bit, but it does that. I'm not one of those guys. I don't hire a colorist, so a colorist, I suppose they're supposed to have consistent color throughout. I have a tendency to change my color scheme based upon the content of the content of the work. If it's funny, it'll be a lot brighter colors. If it's not so funny, then it'll have a little less. The colors will be a little more muted. Or if it's real serious, I might make the colors more muted. Or it's just how I feel at the time. And I get a feeling when I go to print, I'll go through the whole thing and I'll start doing spot color changes just so that there's some little more consistency. I'm doing all this on the fly, so okay, that helps a little bit. The guy has, and I can. Let me see. I put my exposure. Let me see if I can just lighten that up a tiny bit. I don't know if that works. Go back and take a look at it. Oh, today I'm getting my, very early on, I'm getting my rotary phone. I didn't get much yesterday. I'm noticing it after about 2.5 hours, I start to have technical problems, probably because all the caches get filled up. And I don't know. Maybe that's just my limit. Maybe I can do about 2.5 hours, and then I should call it a day. Cool. Yeah, I've studied an awful lot. You're mentioning that the history aspect of all this. I have studied an awful lot of history to get ready for this. My great great grandfather was in these battles, uh, and my father knew him. My father for years was like a lot of kids these days whose grandparents raised them. And my father was raised by his grandparents for a good part of his early childhood. You know, Great Depression, stuff like that. Kids got farmed out a lot. Grandparents and everything saying, hey, we're having a tough time getting by. Take care of JB until the Depression enables us to, until we actually have a stable life. A lot of people went through that. So Dad was living with his grandma and grandpa, wonderful people. And his grandpa's father was living with him. And so all those Civil War stories got passed down. And if you're a comics fan and Grit and Guts, I know you're a comics fan because you're doing comics. My great great grandfather was born in Metropolis, Illinois. And if you're a comics fan, that is so dadgum cool that he was born in Metropolis, Illinois, long before there was a Superman, long before all this stuff. I probably still got relatives there, though great great grandpa didn't get doo doo out of these people because he was way down the line in a large family. And when you're way down the line in a large family, you don't get nothing. So, but he got some great stories out of it. Let me see. Now, I got to this point where I was playing around with the trees. So I was playing around with this tree at the last. Let me save this. Every time you get the idea, you should save because you never know what's going to happen. So the right after this point, the Confederates broke through the line, and Grandpa goes running for his life through down. Well, everybody else ran through downtown Gettysburg, running for their lives. Grandpa headed for the hills with a Confederate officer on horseback after him. And as he says later, he said, I felt real bad about that first guy I killed. He killed this guy right here. The guy looks like Al Pacino. He said, but I didn't feel too bad about that officer trying to skewer me with a sword. He turned around and shot him between the eyes. They forgot these country folk are hunters, and they can shoot you between the eyes pretty easily. And then he stole his horse, and he lit out, and he deserted, which 200,000 soldiers in the Civil War deserted. It was not that unusual. But they came after Grandpa Blue. And by the time he got back to Metropolis, they'd already been to the house. And that's why he had to run. And he'd also been shunned. Being a Mennonite, going off to war was not the most popular thing. Mennonites don't kill, not for any reason. Even though they were the first to be against slavery. They didn't believe in war, they didn't believe in killing. To this day, when Mennonites are pressed by military or whatever, they get up and they move away. They've moved away to South America. There's Mennonites in Colombia and I think Venezuela and Uruguay and all over the place. And they originally started up in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. All their ancestors, which is what my ancestors did. And none of my relatives now are Mennonites. For some reason, they all just kind of said they just stopped doing it. It went something else. Okay. And I should put some green in that because it is summer. So I just should, and I should put this in a normal layer. That wasn't what I wanted. That was a weird brush stroke. Let me do it up here. Let the shadows be dark, and I'll put just smatterings of green up here, because you don't want it to attract too much attention from the battle. And we'll do it like this. So old, Grandpa. He's been hiding out for 50 years. We'll see how that turns out. I should make the brush stroke a little bit bigger. Okay, I think I can get away with that. And maybe I can do the tiniest bit of designing these little strokes. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. Be happy. I'm gonna layer this tree. Don't know what it is. I'm gonna do that. Do it right. Have to do it again. Okay. I'll lock it for right now. Go back to here to color. Now, so, there's smoke coming out of that thing. Those smoke coming out here. So, but I want to color those things. Tone. So I want to get a little bit of orangish thing. Let's see if I can do that. And don't want to do it too much. I don't want to give this a sense that there's something horrible coming out of that rifle. Same thing over here. Don't want it to be red or anything like that. Horse anatomy, yeah. If you look online, look for George Stubbs' Horse Anatomy. When I was several years ago, when I was really getting into horse anatomy, I found Stubbs' high definition files of all his horse anatomy, and I printed them out when I printed them out on an Epson Photo 2200, and really, really nice. I've got them over in one of my drawers somewhere, and I kind of use them occasionally to figure out how I'm gonna. Okay, if I have problems with something that's, sometimes from a certain angles, a horse's chest area and their buttocks will give you difficulties. Well, man, I tell you, okay, try it like that. Now, lower that. Okay, what I can do there. That ain't right. Okay, that's because I have it on normal. Does that change anything? I hope not. I don't think I've used that yet. Okay, that helps a lot. Okay, gives it a little bit of shadow here. Oh, I have to figure out how to give Grandpa Blue red hair. Oh, I better do that right here. In the tree layer. I did this in honor of Rick Berry, old buddy of mine from Colorado hippie days. And he put up with me sending him images of this just about every day for a long time. I thought it was driven him nuts. Okay, let me see. And so he had red hair when he was young. So I gave Grandpa Blue red hair. Now I'm gonna have to obviously mess around with that. Okay, now how can I gotta smudge that a tiny bit. I have to really be careful with that. And then I can put some layering of shadows over that. And really, yeah, little red-haired grandpa. Of course, when you got red hair, hard to hide out. Hard to hide out when you got red hair. Okay, I'm starting to blend it in. Hey, I kind of like that. He does look like a redhead, doesn't he? Yeah, I'll give him a little bit of red here, but I got to be real careful with that. Don't want it to look too silly. Okay, let me see how that looks. That's kind of interesting. Okay, now I got to play around. Uh, don't want to give this guy compete. This guy over here needs some hair color, but I don't want to give him any competing hair color. So I'm going to give him some mousy brown hair. Mousy brown hair always kind of doesn't get a whole lot of attention. And that's not what I want to do there. I want it to be in the color area. Okay. Yeah, Stubbs horses are outrageous. Well, back then you could make a living painting horse portraits for wealthy people. Now they have horse photography, but I think you could probably still make a good living doing horse portraits for people who have, rich people who have horses that they love very much, or that are worth a gazillion dollars, like some of these race horses. I had a idea at one time I'd like to go up to Central Florida where there are all types of horse uh, farms, and many of them are connected to racing. They train their stuff here in Florida. Train them all in Florida. Good idea. And then I would try to get into doing that. But these guys are so paranoid about people coming around and spying on them. Their competition in the horse racing world. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get my entree. Nobody introduced me, but it's a good idea. I'm sure there's lots of people doing that. Okay, let's go here and do the same thing here. Just dodging this a little bit, lighten that blue so I can get some highlights and I don't have to have this flat blue. Okay, let's see what happens when I do my smudging thing here. Okay, go ahead and smudge. I dare you. Yeah. Maybe I should enlarge that smudger. Okay. La 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 la. I guess it helps that orange and blue are complementary colors, so it does make old Grandpa's face stand out a bit. I'm going to have to put in some probably put in some reddish shadows in that green because I got to knock down that green in a big way. Otherwise, it just becomes it's just a little too much. Okay, we'll do that again over here. Okay. Ooh, there's a rotating hand tool here. Look at that. Rotate. Ooh, you can rotate it like that. I've never used that. That problem is how do you get back to reset? Oh, rotation. Okay, I got the rotation angle. It's 0. Anyway. Okay, back to this. So, now we need to really lighten some of this stuff up. Okay, right there. Okay. See if I can do my Saison blending thing here. I probably should bring that over to the edge of that form. And then it's not a bad idea to draw into this later on so it doesn't look like it's just covered in wool or something. Okay, got that. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, a little bit like that. And that's not such a bad thing to, okay, right there. It's not such a bad thing to have that as a real highlight. Yeah. Not so bad at all. You put this over a couple of times, it starts to really drain the color out of it. Cool. So this is inspiring me to go up here and play around with it a little bit too. Leave that alone right there. I'm just going to leave that just the way it is. Hopefully I didn't mess it up too bad. Okay, it's not so bad. Okay. I have ambient light down there, so I can live with that. Let me see. Probably just want to get rid of some of the stark white around these forms. Just don't want those things to pop out. Not there. These things have a tendency to bring attention there. Okay, that sounds bad. Okay, now play around with some of these little white spots that come out of the process, and then bring this up here. Eventually, what we would have to do is lay shadows over everything. Yeah. Everyone's, well, you're going to find out that you missed a spot. That's what I did over here. I missed a spot. I missed the roots of this tree. Okay. And that's Grandpa's behind right there. You're missing tigers in one of your comments. Edgar Rice Burroughs, when he was doing the first Tarzan novels, did not know there were no tigers in Africa. I think he put tigers in Africa. There we go. Let's bring all that up in there. Okay. And what's going on here? Oh, a little more. Oh, I see. Yeah, not a bad idea. Okay. Now, these guns have to have some color to them. They're going to have to be gray because guns aren't anything other than metal. Guns play a big part in anything you're doing if it's a historical piece. So you can't place your ideas about guns from 2020 in a historical fictional piece. You got to join their culture and realize that I don't think there was an epidemic of gun violence back then. And everybody had a gun. Just about everybody had a gun. You wouldn't find anybody just about anywhere didn't have a gun. And so guns are going to be a part of this story. Whether people like it or not, it's not this 100 years ago. Everybody had a gun. Heck, I had a gun when I was a kid. It was a rifle. But I was not allowed to touch it without my dad being present. And when I left home, I left it there. I didn't have a use for it. I figured I need a 22 rifle. My brother's got gobs of guns, but uh, okay. Okay, let me see. That strap on that rifle there, these are one shots. These are not Winchesters. Winchesters don't come along for a while. It's Winchesters that so-called won the West because made it impossible for the American Indians to win a battle or to drive people off their land. You got a repeating revolver, a Colt 45 or a Winchester. That beats a bow and arrow every day. So that's life. Nothing you can do about it. When a Stone Age culture meets a culture that's industrialized, forget it. Or at least has weapons that aren't made out of, buffalo hide and rocks. You're not gonna have any chance in that scenario. When we talk about the way American, the Native Americans were treated by people who conquered them, which really didn't happen until the repeating rifle. Well, Cherokees and the Choctaws and the Seminoles got there. There was just, you know, they didn't have the weapons. They couldn't do anything about it. Anyway, okay, I should do that. Okay, that's not so bad. That'll give me some. I'll play around with that. That works. Get this out of the way so I can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, with a little bit of careful work here, and I don't have to finish this today. We'll work on it a couple hours, and then I'm going to call it a day. It's Sunday. I'm going to take it easy. Spend some time with my wife. I got everything set up for tomorrow morning. Last night I put those 3 pages in Illustrator. I put in my dialogue. There's not much in it this week. It's mostly just action. And then I loaded it up into blueboybrown.com and it's done. I don't have to do that. And last week I spent the afternoon lettering and loading and and by the time I got finished, I had to go take a nap. And this week I'll just spend some time with my wife, which is always pleasant. And we'll just talk about old times and and make plans for that didn't work. I didn't like that. Ah, grits and guts. I'm so happy you're here. You still here? Little comment in there if you're still here. Well, if the future is a lot like the past. Future is not much different than the past. All the things happen are the same. Dystopia that we're talking about all the time in science fiction, and I'm an old science fiction fan. I love science fiction like nobody's business. I watched Space Odyssey. First time I saw it was several years after it came out because it came out in '68, and I was just 15 years old, and I wasn't going to many movies back then. But when I first saw it that first day, I watched it 3 times. They let you do that back then. You could stay in the movie theater as many times as you want to until you got sick of it and went home. So I watched it 3 times that day. Oh man, Space Odyssey. All of the things that are going on in the future, all these dystopias, are no different than the Great Depression. Great Depression, everything fell apart. There was organized crime. Why was there organized crime? It's a very simple thing, and it tells you what's going on with the current drug crisis, with everybody doing drugs and all that stuff. It has to do with any time you restrict the access to anything, a black market will occur. And that's what happened with organized crime during Prohibition, is that you restricted it, and so somebody's going to supply it. Those people are criminals, and they're organized. It's called organized crime. There's always been organized crime. There's always been people who will get past any regulations. But we know from history that when Europeans went to India, they were bringing back cotton. Cotton was this new thing. And so everybody wanted to have cotton. But the problem is that the cotton that they were bringing back was cutting into the linen industry in France. So the crown forbade the sale of cotton. Guess what? Black market for cotton arose. These people were criminals. And they weren't selling cocaine, they were selling cotton. Then what I would do if I was looking at horses and stuff, Gulfstream Park right now has online racing streamed live. You can watch it anytime you want to, and just take if you got a really good. Most people have high definition televisions now. Get your phone out. Get your phone out and take photographs of the horses as they're racing, especially the close-ups, and as they're being led out of the paddocks and into the whatever they call those things when they're getting ready to race. Use your phone, take pictures of them, and use them as your reference. And then you can get poses from that too. And you're not swiping. It's called research. Gotta do that guy's hand. Always forgetting to do something. Yeah, horse racing, man, there's nothing better than going to the races and taking your camera along and taking pictures of all these outrageously beautiful animals. And it's just unbelievable how beautiful these animals are, man. And they're all every different style of horse you could ever think of is there. There's white horses, red horses, black horses. They're all incredibly beautiful. In well, it's like when you see athletes. Athletes have these incredibly well conditioned bodies, and so they're like um, the optimal form of that humans take is really probably just athletes. Athletes, have perfectly toned bodies and everything. Well, that's what's going on with racehorses. These horses run every day. They're bred so that they love to race, they love to run, and so they're just absolutely gorgeous animals. Just the most stupendously beautiful animals. And if you want to see perfect horses, you should also look at old movies like Fort Apache by John Ford. It's a John Wayne movie. It has lots of really beautiful horses, and the photography is just outrageously good. And so you can use that as a reference also. Okay, that helps. That works. Now you just take a little bit of this, and yep, you see, and then make sure you get the tone out of there. Yep. La, 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 la. I can do the same thing over here. I need to get that little green out of there. That green has to go. Okay. Okay, that works. Now I'll dodge. Burn this in a little bit. Will it work? I don't know. Oh, it has. Where was it? Oh, it's down here. Okay, that helps. A little bit of the old shock. Now, the color of those rifles. Color of those rifles. Those would be a dark brown. The wood. That's wood. Probably. I've done a little bit of research on that. So I know these stocks are a bit brownish. So let's go into some brown. Let's take out as much of black as we possibly can. Boy, it's not going to be easy. I'm going to do it down here. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to. Well, it is not a particularly important part of the color scheme, and I can always play around with it. So I'll get here. We have it, and nope, I don't want to do it there. That's my drawing layer. So right here. And a little bit up here, a little little bit up here, a little bit up here. And then I need to dodge. Just barely. These areas. And also burned a little bit at the top here so I don't lose that. Yep. Okay, now this barrel is going to be gray. Oh, I have to, wait a second. Okay, I have to do you too because you guys are carrying the same. Oh, did it again. You're carrying the same sort of rifle. Not much difference between the two. Did a lot of research on rifles during Civil War. So they're correct rifles. They're one-shotters. Well, you know, there's an Italian Renaissance. No, not Renaissance, Baroque. Cambioso, I believe. Cambioso. I think that's who it is. Let me look. Give you an incredibly good resource for positioning figures. No, Cambioso, not Brett Michaels. Cambioso. Who cares about Brett Michaels? I'm looking. Yeah, Cambioso. No, Cambioso. I think it's Cambioso. Images. No, it has anything to do with soccer. Baroque drawings, cubic structure. Let me see. No, I don't. Okay. Got to be in here somewhere. So hard to find these things when you actually want to see them. Anyway. Oh, I think I could probably find this. I'm looking for this really marvelous Baroque artist. It's probably this guy. And yeah, I'm looking on Pinterest. And he's a really, really good at just figuring out where to put images without even actually drawing them. Actually, I have it on my Pinterest page. I should go there. So if I keep on doing this all day long, it's nobody's going to watch this. Come on, load up. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm having trouble finding it. Maybe if I looked at my page. Anyway, let's go back to this. Maybe I'll find it sooner or later. So what was I looking for? Huh. You don't have anything? Boards, pins, but just pins. Anyway, where was I? Oh, I was doing these. And so I'm trying to do these guys. And maybe I'll keep those a little less. Keep those a little less. A little less highlight on there. Anyway, so what do I got when it comes to? Oh, I got this guy up here. He's carrying a rifle, so he's got to have this. So I'm not sure I want it to be as. Got to have a little bit. Okay. Okay. Now, I mean, let me look at the whole thing. Okay. Now it needs to be. Modulated. It needs to have some. Okay. Now, I've got to deal with this green. Okay. Now I'm going to have to mess with this green. Luca Cambiaso, yeah. Yeah, Luca Cambiaso. I'm always forgetting somebody's name. Cambiaso, yeah. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, Luca Cambiaso. Like he was really good at that stuff. Anyway, so you already know the guy's name, so I'm not going to go look for stuff that you already know. So I'm going to have to play around with this. Now, what I'll do is I'll swipe some of the colors from here, and I'll start making squiggly marks. Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay. I'll go back to my original idea, which was to bring it down to these colors. Yeah, better. Yeah. So this maybe won't drop out so bad if I lay in something for you to actually look at. And larger marks too. And it is not so much about whether or not you've got the actual effects of well, whether or not, okay, we see a battlefield in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. You can't slavishly copy everything that was there. You got to do it for the composition. So now I got to start doing that. And you got to use different types of strokes and probably different colors also. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Luca, yeah, the guy is tremendous. And it's his the things that he did as cubes I was thinking of, which you don't have to focus on the the actual anatomy or anything like that because you just do it as cubes. Ah, here it is. Somebody put it on Twitter. Why would you put it on Twitter? Uh, okay, that thing there. There. I'll bring it over here. That. So this is a good way to work on compositions without having to get hung up on whether or not you're doing everything correctly. All you have to do is to get you can get your proportions correct and everything just by doing these QB things. and it works beautifully. It worked for him. It worked for all of us. It's easy. Makes your life a whole lot easier when you do something like this. This guy is really, really fine. And it's not the only thing he ever, he did these, and then he did the really, really fine uh, uh, anatomy and all that other stuff. But this was just working on compositions. It's a great way to work out compositions. Anyway, back to this. Okay. My back, is it working? Huh. I better save this thing. Am I on the right page? Yeah, it's one of the best things you can do for yourself for working out compositions. And man, just look at eh, you want to look at great compositions. Go look at John Ford's Ford Apache. Just the final scenes right before the battle when John Wayne is up on the ridge with the supply wagons. Uh, he goes through an entire series of shots that are some of the most beautiful compositions you'll ever see. And it all is about asymmetrical composition using uh, your fashioning, fashioning your placement of figures based upon how humans in the West look at pictures. We look at pictures from left to right, same way we read. And that means we travel over to the right habitually. And they call the right side of the composition the heavy side. And the left side is the light side. So you can put more things over on the left side, and you should put more things on the left side. Just look at what I did here. There's more stuff going over on the left side. But I've got stuff over on the right side because I want you to bounce back and forth between the left and the right, the left and the right, the left and the right. While you're doing this, you're scanning the entire picture. There's no place where there isn't some area of interest, but the main area of interest is over there on the left, where I want you to keep coming back because I know you're going to keep going back to the right. So I want you to go back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. And that is the principle of asymmetrical compositions, is that you want the person to scan the entire drawing or painting without getting stuck in any one place. And that's why you have areas that are true focal areas, but then you've got subordinated areas that also allow the area to breathe, like the sky and the grass. But then you got these things, and you're using contrast and pure color to get everybody's attention. I got to do this over here. And eventually I'm going to play around with some more muted brownish things. And if it doesn't work, well, yeah, it's you're when you learn how to read, that's how you do it. If you're reading Hebrew or Arabic, you go from right to left, and you'll notice that in stuff that comes out of the Middle East. If you look at Chinese, Japanese, Korean art that hasn't been influenced by the West, you'll notice they many times their compositions will be best read from top to bottom or bottom to top because they read vertically. Now I've got to do something about the fact that this is all so incredibly flat. So I'm going to bring it here, over here. And I'm not going to worry about the fact that there's some black in here. I'm going to I got to do something about the, I kind of want the foreground to be brilliant because that does have a tendency to cause you to look at it real hard and heavy. But I may have to just go after everything sort of like this. Hmm. It's a tough nut to crack. Well, what if I did this? What if I dodged the living daylights out of it and then fortunately I got undo on my nifty computer and I can always do the damage I've done. Oh, I'm getting my rotary phone here. I better save again. Okay. Okay. Let me see. I found out that if I did real short little strokes, I didn't get this rotary phone thing too often. Let me try that. Oh, okay. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. That. Okay. We have a real tough time formatting this double page spread because it's on page 8 and 9, which means it's going to have to be abutted to the uh, to the well of the book so that it comes out so that the center portion will be right around here. And that'll take a lot of work, and maybe I'll ask my printer to help me out with that. Just want to make sure that these come out perfectly like that. It'll probably go through this guy's arm, but what the heck. I did this real early in the book, and I was still getting my comic book chops back. There's a big difference between a comic book mode and just drawing and doing etchings and stuff like that. comic book mode, you are making book movies. You're basically a director. In fact, being doing what I am, it's sort of like what Hitchcock and Orson Welles did. Of course, they do it better than me, but still, their vision of doing everything is what does it. And if you don't like it, well, I get somebody else to work for me. Whereas I don't have that problem. Tips for drawing crowds. In the foreground, get into lots of nice details. In the background, you only suggest the bodies. Don't try to get too detailed. Just suggest them. As you get farther into the background, just do cursory images of them. A good person to look at is Jean Giraud, who did Lieutenant Blueberry. He's Mobius. Look at his Lieutenant Blueberry. His crowds are really good. Of course, everything that Giraud did was really good. There's very few people in his league. He just did everything. I think his best work was the Lieutenant Blueberry stuff. The stuff he did as Mobius, I think it's good, but it's not on the level of Blueberry. Blueberry's outrageously good. That was my first real exposure to European comics. I was in the Midwest. I didn't know anything about Europe. Yeah. I knew where France was and all that stuff, but didn't know anything about European comics. That was my first exposure to European comics. Man. And it was all in French too, which my French was really broken. I couldn't figure out too much what was going on. But I knew that I knew some of what was going on. I didn't really care. I just wanted to look at the pictures. Boy, they good pictures. Guy could, and it really makes me sad that he passed away. He was so good. Guys like that should live and live and live and live and be very, very old. Which is my plan, to be extremely old when I pass out of this world. I want to do this 9-book series. I want to get the whole thing done. I've got scads of short stories that I've written that are semi science fiction that I also, if this thing takes off, I'll also publish those independently. I'm just going to do all, unless something comes out of left field and surprises me. This is just me and my little publishing venture, Afternoon Comics, because that way I'm in total control. I don't like the idea of giving somebody else control. It's going to be, what I'm going to do is junk and it's lousy, well, that's life. I can't help that. But I have a particular way of looking at the world that is informed by years and years and years and years of research, and I'm going to do it my way. Yeah, maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help. Probably help if I played around with the value of that. I could, at certain points there, take a sponge brush and leach some of the saturation out of that hump here it's really humping. Well, how long you been doing this? How long have you been doing this? Are you just getting started? Oh, computer's slowing down. If you're real young and you're just getting started, then give yourself time to establish yourself. Uh, thank God for Kickstarter and uh, and the fact that you can do a Kickstarter campaign. There are printers all over the place that'll print your stuff, and it's not that expensive. Stay in the United States. Um, with the way the world situation is right now, you don't want your comic book to be on a shipping container out in the middle of the Pacific and something's going on in the political world, and you can't get your product into Los Angeles or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I don't see any reason to go offshore when the best printers in the world are right here. I use a place called Mixam, Mixam.com. Real reasonable. And you don't have to wait a month for your shipping to get here. You get your shipping in just a couple of days. It'll be here. And they can both do it on a digital press or a litho press. And I kind of like that. Now it's getting a little bit better. Hmm. Well, I want to. No, I'm in the wrong place. Okay. Want to come down here, here. 7 years on the concept, the world building characters, but only 1 year on refining my art because I used the well, hey, I was yeah. It takes a while, but if you're young, I'm assuming that you are in your 20s. You got plenty of time. You got plenty of time. And what used to cost $1 million doesn't cost that much anymore. When I first started doing digital art, I couldn't afford a scanner. Those things were $1,000. Now, I bought a 11 by 17-inch scanner this spring with a printer that outputs high definition prints. $180. 29, still got plenty of time. Still very young. Person does their best work historically in your 30s. I'm trying to break that mold. I had my head stuck far up my, you know what, until my 30s. So, in a lot better shape than I was. And what I would also say is if you have a really huge project, break it up into small pieces that you can publish in installments. That's what I'm going to do with this comic. At first, I was going to do a 148 page each trilogy of trilogies of 148 pages for each installment. But I decided, um, I'm going to start doing 28 to 35 page uh, issues, and put that out as Kickstarter campaigns. And you don't need as much money to get the thing off the ground. Much more likely to be successful at a Kickstarter campaign, and then you're on your way. You can start to build up some kind of readership. I'm starting out here as a web comic, so that eventually, from all the reading I've done, I started in January, even though I've been on the web since 1996. And I actually had a quite a hefty web presence for a lot of years. I sort of like let it go, because I was doing other things, mostly because I was teaching, and I was working with Apple uh, and doing junk like that. I just couldn't do all of it, and so I let this thing that had a real good position on Google let it go, and so when I've come back, I've had to, if it really would have been smart to not let this go, let it sit fallow and work on it a little bit here and there, and then I would have this thing that I could morph into my comics thing. But I was too smart back then. I just thought, okay, I'm never going to get into this. It's just too much trouble. So it takes a while to get it takes about 6 months for Google to notice that you're a serious website, that you're updating weekly. And right now I'm going through a period where I'm updating daily. And I put my comics up on a Monday, but I'm blogging and posting these live streams daily. And hopefully that will cause me to start to get some organic search, which means I didn't pay for it. And I've noticed it's starting to happen. Occasionally in my logs, it'll say Google search. And I don't know what they were searching for. It'd be nice if I knew. And then I'm learning a little bit more about search engine optimization, which I didn't have to use. I didn't have to worry about this in the early days of the web because there wasn't that many websites. It was just me and a few other people who were doing cartoons and stuff like that. And so, but now it's everybody's doing this. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cartoonist. And so, but give yourself some time. If the work's good and you're working real hard on making your writing have a good sense of story, developing story arcs. And that's what I'm trying to do here is that there'll be a chapter that'll tell a small story, then another chapter tells a small story, then another chapter tells a small story, and then bring them all together, and that's what's going on, which I kind of developed over the years. I realized that's really how you develop a story. You lay up the foundation for the big dramatic thing that is really what the book is about, but you don't let on. You're just developing your characters, letting them know about these people, and then something happens. And then out of that flows everybody's reaction to it and how the drama unfolds. But it has to be subtle. You can't give it away. Well, good. If you are good at writing, then the you do not have to be uh, a master artist to get something going. Um, Develop a style that is within your means. This is what Cezanne did. If you look at early Cezanne, it was horrible. His stuff was like he was trying to do Baroque stuff that was way beyond his means. He didn't have the kind of abilities. So what he did is he took Impressionism and he adapted it to his uh, drawing capabilities. And then he hit his stride and he understood this and he understood how to make great art. And he was no Degas. He couldn't draw as well as Degas, not by a long shot. He couldn't draw as well as Ang, but he's the father of modern art. He's the father of modern art forms. Maybe not the father of the concept of modern art. That would be more like in the level of Courbet. But everybody looks to Cezanne for their inspiration for these modern forms. Picasso did. Everything comes out of that. Some of it's good, some of it stinks. You know, like some modern architecture make you puke. But that's something that's within anybody's means. All you have to do is just study and figure out how can I develop this style that gets across my story and that I feel comfortable with, and that allows the story to create a fictive dream, which is where you have created a world in which the um, viewer, the reader, does not keep saying, "Why is this going on?" They buy into it. It's a suspension of disbelief. And you just, as long as you can maintain that fictive dream, you got it. Then just make your point. And that's all the art's doing. The art is serving the it's serving the story. Which, as a young guy, when I heard Jan Sternad say this, I was going, no, you can't do that. I'm an artist. No, 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 no. It's, good art without a great story is just some pretty pictures. You got to have a balance between the good art. Yeah, just find yourself some. You gotta remember there. I think somebody when I was taking literature in college and everything says there are only real 8 story plot lines that anybody actually reads, and so develop those storylines. Develop those storylines, mix and match them, and you should be fine. You just look at what Disney's done with oh, there's this poor innocent person, and they've got this wonderful thing going on, but there's this jerk that keeps messing with them. Well, that is a Disney movie. That's all Disney movies. All Disney movies. We're wonderful. We're good people. Look at what they're doing to us. Even Pinocchio walks out the door. So those two actors get a hold of him, ruin his life. Before you know it, he's got donkey's ears. I'm getting a rotary phone. It's about the time of the day that I get the rotary phone. That thing that keeps going round and round and round, round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. And hopefully it'll stop soon. I'm going to stop soon. I made some progress. We'll see. Uh, well, the blues of the rebel guys are a little different blue than the uh, Union guys. That helps. And the rebels really only wore gray top. Uh, their shirts were only things that were really gray. The rest of them, they were wearing blue and black slacks and whatever they could find because not well equipped army. Hard to have any sympathy for them. Who knows what's going on with these people? Uh, Okie dokie. So what? Let me see. I'm going to get rid of the rotary phone. Oh, can't do anything without that. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to stop. It's about 2 hour limit on Sundays. Sunday's a good day to rest. You're supposed to rest on that day. Let me see. I'm going to take my sponge tool. What would happen if I took my sponge tool? I took a little bit of the color out of this area. What would happen? Am I going to get the rotary phone? Huh. Didn't do anything. Huh. That was my sponge. Sponge is supposed to do that. What it does, it will knock down this green to where it matches some of this other. Maybe I could do it over here too. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it's making it a little more of a value instead of a. Okay. Flow is 50%. That's why it's not taking out too much. That's just becoming a greenish value, which is maybe not such a bad idea. Okay. Now, what if I took a burn tool? I started drawing with it over here. I better do it a little less dramatically. Okay. Want my exposure to be a little less than that, and I want to I don't want to do it real softly. I don't know if that's a good idea. We'll see. Then make it a smaller brush. I don't know if I can pull that off. Let me see. I'm going to put this out as just an idea I had, and I hope you're still there. Is I'm remember back, you're 29, so when this was going on, you were just a pup. Back in the early days of Apple, they had what was called uh, Apple evangelizers, people who went out and told everybody about Apple because they were dealing with that evil Bill Gates guy who made this horrible program called DOS, turned it into Windows, spelled DOZE, and they recruited all these people to tell everybody about the wonders of Apple computers, which at the time didn't handle memory very well. You can only open up uh, one application at a time. You couldn't multitask. It didn't handle memory very well. But the thing with Apple is that it was elegant. It was beautiful. It was done by real designers. They weren't just engineers, because the people at Windows were just engineers. And they bought most of their products. They didn't actually create them. They bought them. DOS was bought by Gates and Paul Allen. They didn't do DOS. They bought it. Somebody else did it. And they had the money, and so they bought it. That's what they'd basically done most of their career. So Apple had all these people that were telling everybody about them. I don't know how they got it. Everybody basically did it because they loved Apple. Well, I'm of the opinion that I should try to incorporate Blueboy Brown evangelizers, except that I would give out rewards. And of course, it would probably be art. Not so much my original art. I'm leaving that to my niece and my nephew, but I got a lot of things I could hand out to make it worth people's while to help me get the word out. So I think I'm going to stop right about now. I've done enough damage. It's looking a little better than it did. I'm going to save it right there. So think about that, my friend Grits and Guts, about Blueboy Brown evangelizing. And if other people become aficionados, helping me get this thing going. And then let's start. The foreground is starting to act like a foreground. Yeah, it's starting to, instead of flopping down and becoming a depression, it's starting to come up. I'll keep on working on that. I got plenty of time to do this. This is about taking all the pages that I thought were a little bit weak, could have been better, and turning them into something that's worth looking at. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that looks better. That's starting to come around. So thank you for being here, Grit and Guts. Tell all your buddies about me. I'm here just about on 10 o'clock most mornings, unless there's something going on. And then I'll come in a little later. And once the economy opens up, which hopefully will be soon, there's a really good study. It's just a study. It's supposed to be. It hasn't been peer reviewed. It's basically about debating what's going on out of MIT. MIT targeted lockdown. It's a study that says that a targeted lockdown in which you don't lock down the entire economy, and only the vulnerable people, the old people and people with pre-existing conditions, those you protect, you can achieve almost everything that you want to do with a uniform lockdown. So hopefully they'll do that. I'm in a part of the vulnerable group. I'm a part of the old folks who will be a part of the targeted lockdown. So I'm here till September. I'm not making a move anywhere until September. I am not getting this thing because from what I heard, old diabetics like me, it attacks your kidneys. I have absolutely no. I love my kidneys. I have enough problems with my kidneys at my age, so I'm not interested in getting hurt anymore. I've had gone through too much of that junk. So we'll see what happens. But once the economy opens up and everything's going on, I'll have something else to do on Sunday mornings, and so I might just abandon Sunday morning. But till then, I have nothing to do on Sunday mornings, and so I'm going to just keep on working on this. And I'm real happy to have my friend Grit and Guts as a part of this. You did subscribe. Go over to Blueboy Brown Comics on Facebook and like that and follow that because I put a bunch of stuff up there. I do watch parties at night to rerun all this stuff and try to get as many people on board because I'm wanting to start a Kickstarter campaign in June. I'd like to see if I can get that first issue, which would be about 28 pages, 24 pages plus the covers. I'm going to have it done. It's going to be beautifully printed. I've already looked at the samples that show what it will look like, and it's going to be gorgeous, which you never got back in the 60s when I was buying Superman and Batman and Spider-Man and Fantastic Four comics. You got, it's all cheap stuff, and now it's falling apart. This stuff will last for ages. Anyway, that's what I'm going to try to do. So, I will now stop all this, and I hope everybody enjoyed what they saw and learned something about the history of the Civil War and crazy time. Man, you think these times are bad. Civil War is really bad. Grit and Guts KHS. Is that on Facebook? Okay, good. You like my page? I appreciate that. I'll go find you. Friend me. If you don't friend me, I'll friend you. So let's get this going, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably I might be working on this, though. I'm looking at page 62, and I want to redraw major parts of that. Maybe that's what I'll do while I'm sitting around watching TV tonight or watching golf this afternoon, and work on a few panels that I think need to be adjusted. So here we go. I'm getting out of here, and have a great Sunday, and enjoy yourself, and don't take any wooden nickels because they don't make them anymore. It's a fake. Okay, bye-bye.